We will resume the December 14, 2023 meeting of the Palm Desert City Council, successor agency to the Palm Desert Redevelopment Agency and the Palm Desert Housing Authority. May we please have the roll call?
Councilmember Harnick.
Here.
Councilmember Nestandi.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Quintanilla.
Presente.
Councilmember Truby. Here. Mayor Kelly.
Here,
All councils present.
please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. Several of us were present recently for the renaming of our Palm Desert Veterans Clinic in recognition of Cy Kaplan. On that occasion, this favorite comment of his was offered, and I thought it deserved to be heard by more people. It is the veteran, not the preacher, who has given us freedom of religion. It is the veteran, not the reporter, who has given us freedom of the press. It is the veteran, not the poet, who has given us freedom of speech. It is the veteran, not the campus organizer, who has given us freedom to assemble. It is the veteran, not the lawyer, who has given us the right to a fair trial. It is the veteran, not the politician, who has given us the right to vote. It is the veteran who salutes the flag, who serves under the flag, whose coffin is draped by the flag. It is the veteran to whom we owe our freedom and our rights. One day just isn't enough. I ask the veterans present to please stand and be thanked. And we will proceed to exercise the rights you have preserved for us. Is there a report from closed session?
Thank you, Mayor. There was no reportable action taken at this afternoon's closed session.
Our first item of business is to receive a recommendation for annual appointment of the mayor and mayor pro tem. Is there a staff report?
Madam Mayor and City Council, in December, the City Council rotates the Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem's position, and staff's recommendation is to appoint Karina Quintanilla to the position of Mayor and Jan Harnick to the position of Mayor Pro Tem for a one-year term commencing upon appointment.
And for the information of all present, we have carefully defined policies which establish our order of rotation to ensure that leadership is shared. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
I will second.
Please take the vote.
Councilmember Harnick.
Yes.
Councilmember Nastandi.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Quintanilla.
Aye.
Councilmember Trube.
Yes.
Mayor Kelly.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
And that means we change places.
Thank you, Mayor Kelly, and thank you all for your warm support. We have now advanced to item 9B, the congressional recognition from Congressman Calvert, and that will be presented by a current council member from Indio and a field representative from Congressman Calvert.
Speak this way. Or speak to you. Sure how this works. There you go. Thank you. Well, thank you and congratulations, Mayor, on being appointed. And thank you, Kathleen Kelly, for your amazing service for many years. I've sat on Sunline Board with you and your inspiration and leadership is renowned throughout this valley. But I'm here today on behalf of Congressman Ken Calvert. I'm Glenn Miller. I'm the district representative for Congressman Calvert, and we're here to honor you on your 50th anniversary here. I mean, the city of Palm Desert is one of the iconic cities here in the Coachella Valley. You're known for your fine dining, your fine art, shopping, you know, on El Paseo, world-renowned zoo from the living desert. You have so much that you offer this valley, and you've continued to lead and support the Coachella Valley. So on behalf of Congressman Calvert, we wanted to thank you and honor you with a congressional certificate of recognition, also of record. But one of the things that the congressman wanted you to know is that you will be receiving a flag that flew over the Capitol on the day of your 50th anniversary, which will be framed and put into memory, along with a certificate of recognition, letting everyone know that the city of Palm Desert is 50 years old and getting more excellent every day. So you'll be receiving that directly from Washington, D.C. And on behalf of the congressman, we're here to serve you. We're proud to have our office in your city, and we continue to look forward to working with you to make the Coachella Valley and the city of Palm Desert the best place it could be. Congratulations on your 50th year anniversary. And I have a certificate of recognition in that for you, and the flag will come directly to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Miller. We now move on to item 9C, proclamation for Mr. Manny de la Rosa. The proclamation reads, whereas Manny de la Rosa is a television, radio, and newspaper personality, Manny the Movie Guy, a multiple Emmy Award-winning film critic and host, whose movie reviews and celebrity interviews on NBC Palm Springs, KMIR TV, based in the city of Palm Desert, as well as the Filipino channel and ANC News worldwide. And whereas Manny the Movie Guy de la Rosa consistently uses his public image for the benefit of community, especially his beloved Filipino Americans, by promoting their philanthropic programs and activities, lending his media skills, serving as master of ceremonies when requested, serving on numerous nonprofit boards, including the National Alliance of Filipino Americans Incorporated, NAFA, based in Palm Desert, and being an active member of the Filipino American Association of the Coachella Valley. Whereas the Filipino population in Palm Desert has quadrupled in the past decade, while it only doubled in the Coachella Valley, the Filipino-owned businesses in the city have also multiplied in the past year, extending the values of strong work, ethics, family, and a sense of community which benefits the city in innumerable ways. Manny de la Rosa mentors and inspires many people, as shown by the increase in television reporters who have studied in Palm Desert schools and came back to work in the city. Whereas in this past decade, Manny, the movie guy, has consistently used his professional and academic access, including journalism experience at Purdue University, a post-baccalaureate degree in film membership at the Motion Picture Association of America and Broadcast Film Critics Association, and his skills as an entertainer for the betterment of the city of Palm Desert, the Coachella Valley, and surrounding communities. Now, therefore, let it be known, upon the culmination of National Filipino History Month, I, Karina Quintanilla, Mayor of the City of Palm Desert, and the entire City Council are proud to recognize the significant contributions to the Filipino-American contribution in the city and beyond by Mr. Manny de la Rosa. Please come up. Here's your official proclamation. Yay. If you would. Sure. Like I know Miss Lenny wants pictures. What you got? And the next item of our agenda, so I don't have to get back up there and I don't keep you too long, is the recognition for the RPM Company. It is with greatest appreciation that the Palm Desert Housing Authority Board hereby presents RPM Company with this plaque in recognition of the ongoing commitment and 25 years of dedicated service to the Palm Desert Housing Authority communities. Thank you very much. Don't be shy.
I just wanted to say, I do appreciate, RPM appreciates the recognition. It's been a pleasure serving the city, the housing authority, and your residents for 25 years. Thank you. Thank you.
After those recognitions, we will now turn to item 9E, the 59th Annual Palm Desert Golf Cart Parade recap.
So thank you so much for having us here today to speak to you. We are so pleased and we want to just thank you so much for your support, your contribution, your help with everything to help make this 59th Annual Golf Cart Parade one of the best. We have just a few of the highlights we'd like to go over with you. They're up there on the board.
Before we get into the highlights, just to point out to everybody, I mean, as we all know, on November 18th of 2023, City of Palm Desert celebrated its remarkable achievement of 50 years of incorporation here in the Coachella Valley. As the Palm Desert Chamber of Commerce went to planning this year's golf cart parade, which, as Alyssa mentioned, was its 59th annual. Part of the core and the center of our parade for this year was to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the City of Palm Desert. So with that being the focus, and with the Chamber of Commerce's ask of sponsorship dollars from the city, and at a heightened level, mind you, we really are very proud of what we put together and what we accomplished this year, and could not have done it without the city's support. And into the highlights I shall go. So we achieved a larger crowd larger than ever, we believe, estimated to be between 10,000 and 12,000 lining the 1 mile district of El Paseo. We had an expanded marketplace of business vendors, all local businesses for the most part, which included 19 different vendors plus 7 different food vendors. We had a kids family fun zone that encompassed a whole block from Lupin to Sage, and it was extremely well attended and very well supported. And our committee lead on that, who was from, I'm forgetting, a Desert Rec, actually did a remarkable job of curating that entire event. We had a classic car parade show. This is the second time we've had that element. We had a custom golf cart show featuring 12 custom carts, which were prominently featured in front of the gardens on El Paseo. We had the first time ever in the history of the parade, skydivers who took to the sky with American flags draped across their bodies as they descended onto El Paseo, which was a huge fan favorite for so many, including our veterans that we honored in a very special way for the first time ever in this year's parade. And what made it extra special was this was the 50th year that we got our POWs back from Vietnam and ended the Vietnam War. So extra special meaning behind that veteran section that we did. We had over 100 different floats, cars, carts, bands, dance teams from schools all across the valley that showed out in color and in style. We had 126 guests for our first year, as I mentioned, veteran seating section. 200 guests enjoyed the VIP section area. And then, of course, our traditional senior section area, which it was sold out, 300, not sold out, but it was given out, 300 seniors were able to enjoy a boxed lunch and front row seating on the parade procession. I do know my time is getting short here, so I'll bring it to a close. I mean, I don't know, show of hands, if you will, how many folks were able to attend this incredible gathering of the community. But one of the most remarkable floats we had in our procession was none other than the city of Palm Desert, who pulled out all the stops. And I mean, this is a Rose Parade worthy float that they put together. I mean, it was ornate, it was decorated to the, just the highest level of detail. Very proud that they pulled out all the stops and showed up like no other in this parade, like so many other community members that did. We have a few more pictures just to flip through here. There's one of our skydivers again with the patriotic parachutes that they were flying. There's some low riders. There's your dance teams. Of course, the fire engine from our historical society. And that's it, folks. And with that, I'm going to give it back to Alyssa, who's going to present the city its award for the best float in show. And Alyssa, go ahead and take to it.
Yes, you guys all saw the picture of that float up there. It was amazing. And they were voted on, and the City of Palm Desert's float won the best overall golf cart. So I know you guys got the trophy back on that day, but we'd like to formally present it to you today.
Where are our staff members that were part of this? I'm looking around. Did they come on up? Where is Shelby? Don't be shy. Amy? I was told that essentially Shelby did most of the work herself. Don't be shy. This would not be possible without her. So I believe that you should be the one to, is this that goes in your office? Is it a paperweight? I'm not sure what happens with it if the city wants to display it, but it really should be in your hands.
Tom Mortensen, if you could please see me. Thank you.
Do we have any comments from the city manager?
Just one, Mayor. I did want to take a moment to inform the council and our residents that Desert Willow Golf Course was recently named the Course of the Year by the California Golf Course Owners Association. I've asked Derek White, our general manager, who's in attendance, to share with the council exactly what this means, what the next steps are, and also just thank him for the quality that's put into that course every year to make this possible.
Well, it's always wonderful to be award winning, right? And we've done it on multiple occasions. I think what makes this one special is that the California Golf Course Owners Association is essentially an organization of our peers. And so when your peers go out of your way to recognize you as something special, we find that to be special. Now, that being said, we have an amazing team at Desert Willow, but we certainly couldn't do it without the amazing contributions and support of the council and staff and all the resources that you make available to us, and what an amazing facility that it is. You know, a lot of times we tell the staff, this place is so amazing, we just need to stay out of its way, right? But of course, there's some great customer service to be provided along the way. So thank you, and we'll continue to be award winning. And that's our goal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we move on to item number 11, Mayor and Council Member reports and requests for action. Let's start on this end. Mr. Truby, do you have anything, Council Member?
Yeah, thank you very much. Let's see, I am the council liaison to our Parks and Rec Department, and we've been getting a lot of very, very positive feedback from committee members about we'll call it the state of our parks and how beautiful their appearance, landscaping, from A to Z. They're just kept up in excellent, excellent shape. So I want to acknowledge that and give a special shout out to our Public Works Department, Brad Chuck, and in addition, Vintage Landscaping, who seem to be handling the job very, very well. So very, very proud of our parks for sure. Also, I understand also that there's a little bit of talks underway to resume the business inspections, the Riverside County Fire Department. I've heard that through the public safety. Again, I'm a liaison with the public safety, and I just want to keep an eye on that and just bring it to your attention that that's an important project that hopefully we get some traction on and can get more updates later. In other words, fire inspections of local businesses through our fire department. Had the opportunity to go to the Firebirds game last night to celebrate Jewish Heritage Night. It was a beautiful experience, and I was so proud to represent the city there. And I rode the CV Link this morning behind the high school. I guess, is it the PD Link, CV Link? The new section that just was open? CV, okay, that's CV proper. Was wonderful and great, and I was really, really glad to see that improved. A lot of kids use that to get to and from school every day, and it's a huge improvement. I do have actually 2 requests for action, and hopefully they're not too burdensome. But again, through my work with the Public Safety Department, committee rather, you know, so many residents come to me and if they have a gripe at all in Palm Desert, which is rare, most of our residents are really, really happy here. It is about, we've noticed an increase in traffic violations, red light running, speeding, et cetera, et cetera. And I would just like to get, I've been on a council for a year, and from what I understand, we used to have more motor patrol officers through the sheriff's department. And of course, understandably through COVID, and we were a little bit concerned about budgetary constraints, we cut back a little bit of our program with the motor officers. We're down to 4 now. And I would just like to get a report from staff at some point to find out what it would take to bring more motor officers back. I think that might be a solution perhaps to some of the complaints I'm hearing from residents about increased violations and traffic, I guess we'll call it speed and red light violations. So just like to see reports so we can kind of examine our options moving forward with public safety budget. And another observation or things I've been approached from residents about is, and I remember this, I've been here 30 years, is decorations along Highway 111, sort of seasonal decorations. If there was a time years ago where we would festoon the traffic lights along 111 with these, you know, beautiful sort of wreaths, or you know, we had the poinsettias here in City Hall. So we do recognize and acknowledge different times of season. And I would just like to maybe get a report from staff about what it would take to restart that program of decorating Highway 111 with some seasonal decorations through the holidays. And that is all. Thank you.
I have heard a request for staff report around the motorcycle study regarding the speed. Do we have support from other council members? That is one. Do we have another? Thank you very much. And in addition, there is the request for a staff from study regarding seasonal decorations along Highway 111. Do we have support for that as well?
Can I mention that we do have a committee, so let's send that to the committee that does the seasonal decorations and take a look at that.
That sounds like a great idea. Thank you. Councilmember Kelly, comments? Any comments or your comments or reports after we have your support?
Pardon me, were you calling on me?
Yes,
next?
now what
Okay.
would you like to share with us?
Thank you. A couple of things. First, as I conclude my year as mayor, I want to publicly thank our entire Palm Desert staff who are tremendously dedicated and resourceful. And in the position as mayor, one tends to hear about challenges first. I have consistently been impressed with the responsiveness of our staff, and I want to applaud and thank them. I also want to thank my colleagues. We have a wonderful tradition on this council of presuming the best from each other and retaining collegiality even when we differ. There may be 3-2 votes, but we leave that behind us when we move to the next issue and don't carry hard feelings that can work against the city's best interests. So thank you to all of you. And Mayor Quintanilla, I certainly want to thank you for our collaboration this past year. You've been particularly faithful in attending events, and that's been a huge assurance to me to know that if I had a conflict, we would always have coverage. So thank you. By way of general news, Councilmember Harnick and I attended a joint meeting of the CFAG Executive Committee and Transportation Committee, where it was confirmed that our region has been successful in securing $50 million of funding to address issues on Indian Canyon and guard against disruption during extreme storms, so that particularly folks from Desert Hot Springs can get to Desert Regional Hospital. It was hugely affirmative of our region's collaborative approach to issues. And I want all of you to know that this council spends a great deal of time beyond our required commitments engaging in voluntary regional positions to assure that our city's interests are well protected and the region's interests are well protected. I do have one request for action, which is also a public safety issue. I've seen that some jurisdictions are passing an ordinance to assist law enforcement in fighting catalytic converter thefts by requiring that anyone in possession of a catalytic converter, which is not on their car, have verification of ownership. And I wonder if our public safety committee might look at whether a local ordinance to that effect would be helpful in Palm Desert.
I would support taking a look at that.
I also support and would like to see if there's already anything in place under the state law that specifically addresses the recycling and the ID checks. So I think that's a great suggestion. Thank you. And is that it, Councilmember Kelly? Councilmember Nestanda, do you have anything to report?
I just want to quickly thank our previous mayor, Kelly. You and I go back to 2016 when we both ran for election, and we've been together now 7 years. And I just so appreciate all your wisdom that you've shared with me and your open-mindedness. We get so many issues that come before us and you think your mind is made up, but you've taught me, don't make your mind up. Look at both sides carefully, and I've just learned so much from you, and I want to thank you for all your service. And you're just such a good-hearted person. And I don't know if you know this, but Kathleen takes care of her mother, who I want to say is 96 now, and brings her to 98. And she comes to every meeting, and you're just the best daughter a mother could have. And thank you. And then Mayor, I want to welcome you. Okay. And Mayor Quintanilla, I look forward to 2024 under your leadership, and I think it's a great policy the city of Palm Desert has with our rotating mayor, and best wishes for a successful 2024.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Nestande. And I think that there is a lot of progress that's been made, and it's an honor to be part of that rotation so that we move forward. Councilmember Kelly has been a great mentor, somebody that I can turn to each step of the way, each year that I've been here, and I greatly appreciate your exemplary leadership. As far as the service that I have attended, or I have attended some of the fun meetings with the Children's Discovery Museum, the reminder, they open in March of next year. And I also had the opportunity to attend the Cal Cities dinner in Eastvale with Councilmember Truby. So we had the opportunity to see regionally in Southern California's Riverside County what the needs are and what we can accomplish together. So that's and one other thing in the middle of all of the ribbon cuttings and the renaming ceremony and the veterans redesignation, the ribbon cuttings are very important for us. It is not just showing up, showing the certificate and cutting the ribbon. It became very clear with the tile company that we presented. You don't just step into the new phase of a business. You step into someone's dream. You step into something they have been working for. So I want to thank all of you that are business owners or know a business owner, and please extend the gratitude for being a part of Palm Desert. And now we move on to non-agenda. Oh,
I was thinking I might report out.
I do apologize. I'm so sorry.
On the heels of what Councilmember Truby said about the running red lights, it is a big issue right now, and I encourage us to do what we can do to be proactive when there is a fresh green. Wait a second, look both ways. We have to do our best too, because we can't control everything around us, but we can control what we do. So that's just a little note there, because we do need to look at this through a large, broad lens to really solve the problems. Last Saturday, I had the great pleasure, and I go every year, to go to Shop with a Cop, which includes an effort between Walmart, Riverside County Sheriff, and our school system. And it is so heartwarming to see what happens when we watch our sheriff deputies take our students shopping in Walmart. And it's a great moment. And I just recommend anybody, if you have the chance to go, go. It renews faith. I did attend the Riverside County Transportation Commission. We are working hard to make sure that we get things, as Councilmember Kelly mentioned, Indian Canyon repaired. We have to look at these things again through the broad lens and looking at more grade separation so that when our freight trains go through our valley, and some of which are 3 miles long, that they stop all traffic. Well, if somebody is on the other side of a community, they are isolated. So we are working hard to make sure that we get those grade separations put through the entire valley to make sure everyone can be as safe as possible. The other thing, I went to the 14th Annual Economic Summit with the Southern California Association of Governments. There was a lot of good information there. I will be passing the brochure around that came from there. It's a great idea to study it. Additionally, with SCAG, is Southern California Association of Governments, we are working on the Connect SoCal 2024. This is a program that is done every 4 years, and we would like your input. And it's quite simple. You go to connectsocal.org, put in your comments, and this is going forward. And I'm going to read very quickly, please, what this is so you have a better understanding. And it's Connect SoCal 2024 is Southern California's long-range regional transportation plan and sustainable community strategy, which outlines a vision for a more resilient and equitable future with policies and strategies for achieving the region's shared goals through 2050. So please, again, connectsocal.org. Your comments are critically important. My last thing is CalCog, which is the California Council of Governments, and I was at the retreat last week, and we are addressing issues that impact us all. And some are statewide, and most particularly, of course, we want to have our voice heard in our region. But you're going to be hearing more of this, so please pay attention and have your voice heard. We have waning gas tax. The gas tax on the federal level has not been increased since 1993. At the state level, of course, we know it seems to get increased quite often. But with the greater miles per gallon and the electrification, we have less and less gas tax. So we have to look at how we are going to repair our roads, how we are going to make sure that we get where we need to go safely. So please watch out for that, listen to it, and have your voices heard about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem. I do apologize for skipping ahead. If we may request that the information on the SoCal Connect be placed on Engage Palm Desert or be distributed on Brightside, or however we can make that accessible to our residents. We are at 4:38, and at 4:30 we are required to move forward to the public hearing. So at this time, the public hearing may comment on individual public hearing items with 3-minute time limits. The applicant or appellant will be provided up to 5 minutes to make their presentation. Speakers may utilize one of 3 options listed on the first page of the agenda.
Honorable Mayor and City Council, tonight we are hearing public hearing number 4 regarding the Palm Desert redistricting. I'm Anthony Mejia, City Clerk, and I'm joined by Shalise Tilton, Senior Consultant with National Demographics Corporation, and William Priest, Attorney with Best & Krieger. On June 22nd, the City Council unanimously directed the transition to 5 single-member districts prior to the November 2024 election, and subsequently adopted the Community Outreach and Education Plan. Since that time, the city held 2 map drawing workshops, 3 community workshops, and this will be the 4th public hearing. The public is encouraged to visit redistrictpd.org, where we have all the staff reports, presentations, and public comments posted. The purpose of today's public hearing is to hear from the community and city council on any desired modifications to Focus Map 109 and the sequence of elections. However, I would like to note that this matter was noticed so that the city council may discuss, consider, and act on one or more district maps, including modifications to district boundaries, sequencing of elections, and such matters as may be related to the formation of districts. As a reminder, when developing district boundaries, the city council must meet prioritized criteria established under federal and state law, which include balancing population, geographically contiguous, minimizing division of neighborhoods and communities of interest, easily identifiable boundaries, and compactness. Once all criteria have been addressed, the city council may consider future population growth as a criterion in selecting a final map. As a note, adoption of Assembly Bill 764 resulted in the deletion of considering voters' choice or the unnecessary pairing of incumbents. And the city council shall not favor or discriminate against an incumbent, political candidate, or political party. As a reminder, this is our current two-district system. On November 16th, the City Council selected Focus Map 109 for further consideration, and individual members of the council offered commentary as to why they supported Map 109. Some of the commentary included, Map 109 does not split any HOAs or neighborhoods. It keeps residents bordering the Mid-Valley Channel in the same district, and it places the Portola Country Club and Palm Desert Greens Country Club in the same district as communities who share unique land ownership issues. As previously reviewed, once federal and state criteria have been met, the City Council may also consider future population growth. Map 109 does this by splitting future residential growth with 1,130 units in District 4 and 1,488 units in District 5. Based on a public comment and as a matter of good practice, city staff has provided for consideration Focus Map 109 renumbered so that the sequence of elections will result in Districts 1, 2, and 3 being up for election in November 2024, and District 4 and 5 will be up election in November 2026. The renumbering will provide council members with a expiring term in December 2024 an opportunity to seek re-election. However, based on any public testimony tonight, the City Council should consider whether any area has a history of being underrepresented and relatively low voter turnout so that it can be assigned to a higher turnout presidential election cycle. Public participation is incredibly important to this process. As a reminder, Spanish and ASL interpreters are available upon request. The public is encouraged to submit written comments to cityclerk@palmdesert.gov, and I'm available for presentations to any civic or community group meetings. Now I'd like to report on the public comments conveyed at the two community workshops held on November 29th and December 6th. First, members of the public expressed disappointment that only one focus map was selected. They felt that the City Council's decision was based on the demographer's response that she could not find a solution to Map 102 that does not result in a split HOA or gated community. Second, they expressed that the City Council should bring forward Map 102C as an additional focus map. Map 102C proposes to population balance Map 102 by moving the JW Marriott properties bounded by Country Club, Cook Street, Hoveley, and Portola into District 5 and moving the Hidden Palms community into District 3, eliminating any split HOAs or gated communities. Furthermore, residents noted that Map 109 splits the following communities of interest in two districts. Residents north of Country Club with shared issues related to development growth, traffic, wind, and blow sand. Students and taxpayers north of Frank Sinatra are within the Palm Springs Unified School District, and residents north of Country Club are a younger demographic with shared interest. They further expressed concern that the two northern districts extend too far south and potentially dilute northern residents' vote, and that the northern and southern areas differ greatly, and historically more city funds are expended in the south. In support of Focus Map 109, comments included that Map 109 attempts to address future population growth in an effort to reduce the number of changes to district boundaries following the 2030 census. Also, map 109 bridges the northern and mid-city areas, hopefully mitigating damage done due to the fractionalizing of the city via redistricting. The fifth and final scheduled public hearing will be held on January 11th, 2024 at 4:30, at which time the city council may adopt a final map and introduce an ordinance enacting 5 single-member districts. In summary, city staff is seeking feedback whether there are any modifications to be made to map 109 and whether map 109 renumbered is acceptable in addressing the sequence of elections. And with that, I'm available for any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. City Clerk. So at this time, would you like us to begin with our questions? Or do we go to public comment?
You can certainly ask any preliminary questions you may like, but otherwise proceed with public comment.
Do any of my peers have any questions before we move to public comment? Thank you very much. Can we please hear from Jackie Curtis, please?
Hello. This is the first time I've done a speak at anything, but I just wanted to let you know, I did go to a couple of the workshops and they were very helpful. And from what I observed, I agree with map 109. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we have Joan Spear come forward? Thank you.
Hello, thank you for taking my comments, Honorable Mayor and council members. Regarding map 109, I would like to suggest that the District 5 be moved down to Frank Sinatra in order to include the school district, Palm Desert, the school district split, so that it would include in the District 5, everybody involved with that school district, and then move District 3 up to Country Club. And I think that that could mitigate some of the problems that we're looking at with the division of the school district. Other than that, I request to include more than one map for consideration for districts. My understanding is that there is new information that was regarding a way not to split the one particular country club. And since that has happened, it seems reasonable that we could include another map. And of course, 102C is one of them. A couple of the others that the demographer came up with also had a large area of in the north unfractured. And so I would really like and request the city council to take a look at and consider having more than one map for consideration and listen to the people that are the voters from the north. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Can I have please Mr. Tom Morton step forward?
Good afternoon, everyone. I live in the north and I've attended some of these workshops, and a lot of people have some good ideas and everything, but I think after hearing everybody's discussion, 109 is the one that is most fair to all concerned. And so I applaud you on picking one, and all I can say is you're never going to please everyone. So do what is best, for the people in that district. And I think 109 is the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May we have Mr. Michael Stafford forward, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Council. I live in North Palm Desert, and I do not like map 109. I'm in favor of map 102. A couple of comments about the public comment periods that we've had and the outreach we've had. The latest one that I went to is at the iHub. And frankly, when I attended that, I thought we were going to see different maps, but unfortunately, City Council had made a decision to only forward one map. I think in some ways it's a little insulting to us in the north in that we have unique problems that are different than any part of the city. We have a lot of sand, we have a lot of wind. Now, granted, we can't change the wind, but we can change how we manage the sand. Traffic issues, lots of development. In fact, future growth is going to happen in the north of all parts of the city. We have a community of interest in that all of the kids and children that go to school live in the same area up there, and we go to Palm Desert. We do not go to, we go to Palm Springs. We do not go to Palm Desert. So by breaking that district up to two, as shown on 9, so in other words, you got the western portion and the main portion, you're breaking that community of interest up. So a couple other observations. I'm really troubled by why some of my fellow citizens come to these hearings and oppose a map that would have direct benefits to the north and treat the north fairly, just like anybody else in the city. And what I mean by that is, historically, the city has always been focused on the south. Well, the demographics have changed significantly in the city. And I get it. It's kind of a microcosm of what's going on in the country. People do not like change. But the fact of the matter is, the demographics are younger up there, a lot more children up there. You know, we pay a lot of taxes up too. And so I want the same amount of representation that anyone else gets in this city. And a few other comments. So when you reach out to the public and you have numerous of these, outreaches, we provide a lot of comments to you, but frankly, it looks a little disingenuous if you don't take those comments forward. So I was surprised that, here I was going to look at maybe multiple maps. Again, as I said, you limit it to one, and it totally discounts all of the comments and questions and concerns we have in the north. So I really respectfully ask that you also consider map 102C, I think is now the current iteration of that. And frankly, I want you to actually approve that map because I think it's only fair to the folks in the north. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we please have Debbie Green come forward?
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. I have been following and attending the meetings pertaining to redistricting. It seems a bit underhanded as to how the map was chosen. Refusing to follow the set dates for how this was going forward, refusing to accept 102B, being told 102B could not be revised, refusing to second a motion taken to take 102B into consideration, and rushing to get the map 4 of the council members want does not sit well with me or with many Palm Desert residents. We thought that 2 to 3 maps would be chosen. There would be time to evaluate them, give feedback, and follow the timeline originally published. Seems to be a slap in the face since most of the council did not want to go to 5 districts to begin with, and were willing to spend our tax money to continue fighting a lawsuit that they would lose. You were elected to represent the voters. 109 does not do that. I also find it interesting that when you look at 109 and where all the council members reside, it seems to favor Councilman Truby specifically. The overwhelming feedback has been in favor of 102B from the meeting I attended, with 13 of 14 in attendance for 102B with revisions. Then out of the blue, votes for 109 with no reasons have suddenly appeared. Where were these people previously, and what is their rationale? No reasons. 109 does not follow the established guidelines and will not be able to be installed. It will require more work and time if it can even be implemented. Not to mention the needs and concerns of the North Palm Desert residents who have a large stake in how the district for them is divided. I am here to support them, as I would hope you would do too. For your information, I reside in District 1 and not in North Palm Desert. Please put 102B/102C back on the table. We have to move to 5 districts so that it will make representation fair, just, and right.
Thank you very much. Can we please have Susie Hauser forward? Thank you.
First of all, thank you very much for having this opportunity to speak. I've lived here for 41 years, so I came when Palm Desert was about 9 to 10 years old. And I've witnessed many city councils go through horrific battles with the people of the city, because whenever you have a group, it's evident here, the more choices you give, the more opposition you face. And so you have to make a decision. And all good leaders, in the end, that we've elected, we hope, will do what's right for the city in their opinion. So that's what it'll come down to. My feeling is 109 has been evaluated by the people on the council. Most of the people agree, but it isn't about a section or dividing us, this, the north, the south. I'm already hearing that. And that's a consequence of chopping things up. Because over the past 40 years that I've lived here, the people on the council were voted onto the council by the public. And the public was able to come, tell their issues, whether they lived in the north, the south, and communicate directly to the council. We can still do that, whichever map you choose. Personally, I look at this as one unit, one city. And the council has always operated in very difficult decisions, especially when they were first developing El Paseo. And there were all condominiums down there that had to be removed. And there was a terrific battle. But they had a master plan and they stuck to it. And they did the right thing. I read a couple weeks ago that Palm Desert is now among the top 10 small cities in the nation to reside in. And that didn't happen by accident. That happened by our leaders listening to the people and then using their expertise and making a good decision. And I think that the more we break up the city, the more we divide the people. And you don't look at us as, I'm standing here, I'm a resident of Palm Desert, as is everybody else in this room. Instead, we'll look at, we're in this district, you're in the south, you're in the north. It's, in my opinion, a bit divisive. And I just hope that everybody, after whatever map is chosen, will come together and just work for the good of this community. Because the 40 years that I've been here, the focus has been for the community as a whole, as a family, as a unit. And I hope you will continue not to
Thank you
see us
very much,
as
Ms. Hauser. I hate to cut you
black
off, but your
people
3
or white
minutes,
people.
your 3 minutes have concluded and we must move on to the next
Oh,
resident.
sorry.
I
Thank you very much.
appreciate
That's
you.
okay.
Our next speaker, Ruth Hill, can you please come forward?
Yes, good evening. My name is Ruth Hill. I live in Palm Desert Greens. I voted no when we had that election to go with 5 districts. I do not feel that any district has a monopoly on sand or the issues with wind. So it was with restrained anger and disciplined acceptance of this forced order to divide Palm District into 5 districts. Therefore, I ask the City Council to approve map 109, as this map accommodates the goal of accommodating future growth the best. Thank you, and Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you very much. Can we please have Mr. Mike Morsch come forward?
Thank you, Mayor, City Council members. I speak here today as one of the people who actually came up with a map. And my map is either 102 or 103 because we can't tell the difference, correct, Anthony?
They are identical.
Okay, they're identical. So, after reviewing all the maps, submitting my map, working with Anthony numerous hours, putting putting a lot of time and effort into this procedure, and also having a teleconference with the demographer and Anthony to make sure we're not doing too much wrong. After all of that is said and done, I took a look at 109 because there's maybe a better mousetrap here. I decided I like 109 better than my map. I like the flow of the portion that I live in, which is a northern portion of the city. I hope that the city council can vote unanimously on that map. I would rather see that than a 4-1 or a 3-2 vote. I'd like everybody to please keep in mind that we are one city, not 5 districts yet. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I wonder if we could take a brief recess, which would assist my paying attention.
I think that is a great idea, Councilmember Kelly. We will take a very quick break. Thank you. Please be back in 10 minutes, please. So at 5:10, thank you. 5:11, I didn't add 5:11.
For those on Zoom, I just want to let you know that we will take Zoom public comment once we conclude in-person public comment. Thank you.
If you can please take your seats. If you can please take your seats, we are now at 5:12 and we'll resume with the public comments. Can we please have Carlos Garcia come forward? My apologies. I did not see that my colleague, Ms. Councilmember Kelly, has not returned. Thank you for letting me know. So we will hold in just a second.
While we're holding, I just want to, if I could, do the housekeeping remarks for those on Zoom. For those on Zoom, if you want to participate in public comment, please raise your hand button on your computer or smartphone. If you're calling in on your phone, please dial *9 to raise your hand, and when called upon, press *6 to unmute yourself. Please keep your comments to no more than 3 minutes and begin by stating your name for the record. And just for the public's information, I will return to the Zoom public comment once we conclude in-person public comment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. As mentioned before, Councilmember Kelly takes care of her mom, who will join us down in the front. So she has been part of the city's legacy for a very long time. So you'll get to see another constant figure at our meetings. Thank you. Thank you very much, Councilmember Kelly. At this time, I would like to once again call Carlos Garcia forward. Mr. Carlos Garcia, please come forward.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for the opportunity to speak to you. I think MAP 109 is the perfect example of why districts are needed in Palm Desert, because it's a very South-centric map. It doesn't really recognize or understand or appreciate the unique qualities of the north part of town. MAP 102C does that. MAP 109 does not. It's about communities of interest, and part of the community's interest have to do with school districts, and part of it has to do with measurable differences in wind velocity and measurable sand presence in the wind. These are things that really help define a lot of the issues that we face. We face lots of growth. We face lots of traffic growth. We face lots of new opportunities, new potential developments, such as the possibility of a train line. All of those things are happening in the north part of town. And the north part of town is better reflected in MAP 102C than 109, which does not recognize the unique qualities and does not respect the number one charge that you have in developing these maps, which is to respect communities of interest. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Can we have Mr. Stephen Nelson please come forward?
Honorable Mayor Quintanilla and City Council. On behalf of the Northern Sphere HOAs, specifically Genesis and several others, we support the addition of MAP 102C. For obvious reasons that are unique to our location within Palm Desert that differs from the other 80% of the city. One last time to ensure everyone understands our position and lived experience. Our community of interest are our children, most importantly. They attend Palm Springs Unified School District, and we are part of Trustee Area Number 1, which is represented by Board Member Madonna Gerald. Our property taxes, specifically our school stipend, goes to Palm Springs Unified School District and are routed to that school district for the betterment of our children's education. We pay a higher property tax compared to the more well-established homes in the South and other parts of the city. We have a high percentage of LGBT citizens that are moving to our area, and under the law is defined as a protected class. In summary, our community of interest basis is multifaceted. Our children, our shared financial position as it relates to our property taxes, and last but not least, we have a concentrated amount of new LGBT citizens who call the Northern Sphere of Palm Desert their home. We ask that you maintain and respect our community as your Planning Commission decided to build it, and moreover, we call this area of Palm Desert our home. To split the North in two would cause the division we've all heard about among one community and would be irresponsible to do so. Furthermore, the proposed growth that's been talked about, I have to let you know, for those that do not live in the North, there are several communities that were started in 2008 that till this day remain unfinished. Using the calculus that you would do today, you would be factoring in those said communities for the purposes of splitting the North. We don't have build-out schedules. We don't have construction schedules as to when these quote-unquote future residents may appear. This should be handled by the people of the North when the time comes, not before, not 7 years out, not by this council.
I do apologize and hate to cut you off, Mr. Nelson. Your 3 minutes are expired.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
Can we please have Mr. Greg Ackerman come forward?
Thank you, and good evening, all. My name is Greg Ackerman. After attending both the November 19 and December 6th redistricting workshops, I find myself in league with many in attendance who would prefer to have more than one focus map to consider. In my opinion, the current focus map, 109, is problematic for several reasons, according to my interpretation of the California Voting Rights Act. First, thousands of people living in a community of interest, being the Palm Springs Unified School District, north of Frank Sinatra Drive, will be split in map 109. Second, thousands of people living in the community of interest, being the north of Palm Desert, will have their voices diluted by being split into two districts and blended with residents located far to the south of them who don't necessarily share the same living experience. And last, the proposed district in the southeast ignores the requirement of compactness with a clearly sprawling shape. Previously, council members asked the hired demographer if any of the eligible maps besides 109 avoided breaking a gated community, and were told no. Another question asked if it was plausible to reverse that problem specifically found on map 102, and again, the answer was no. This assessment proved to be incorrect when the gentleman we just heard from, Stephen Nelson, suggested a revision to map 102B, and according to the city clerk, that modified map, which has been referred to now as 102C, would offer a fully compliant alternative to map 109. Map 102C does not split any gated communities, does not split the school district, does not break the community of interest in the north, and does not ignore compactness. I'm deeply concerned that the council is poised to approve a map that risks a California Voting Rights Act challenge. That would also be very expensive if it happened. So I hope we get this right. To conclude, I know that map 102C doesn't actually exist. But it does seem to be compliant with the Voting Rights Act and now avoids splitting a gated community. So I'm asking that the council requests a formal rendering of that map 102C and present it to the residents of Palm Desert as a second focus map. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Our next comment, if Mr. Ms., I'm not sure, C.R. Craig, please come forward.
Thank you. I am Craig. I'm a resident of Palm Desert Greens. Honorable Mayor, City Council. Lived here for close to 2 years, but plan to live here a good long time, if not the rest of my life. But I moved from Riverside, where we had what we called wards, it's districts, and they were nice and compact. And they did not split up the city in terms of we still viewed Riverside as one city. But we were very glad to have a local representative in city government that might only live a couple blocks away, that we may likely see walking our street or at our grocery store, in our school. And similarly, yes, absolutely, Palm Desert is one city. California is one state, but we won't be represented in the United States Congress by a district that includes Palm Desert, but snakes way up to San Francisco, for instance. It just doesn't follow. That's why compactness is so key. I appreciate Map 102 and the revisions that would keep those values intact, keep the compactness, keep the communities of interest. And the City Council has already expended resources on the Voting Rights Act defense and would risk that again. If a different map, if 109 is selected, that may be in your judgment, the right map to go forward with, but to not at least consider another map risks delegitimizing the body, because the body can only govern with the consent of the governed. The voters, especially voters in the North, made their intent clear with the vote on Measure B, with input into these workshops. So to not at least show that you keep the process forward, keep going forward with the process laid out to weigh a couple maps at this point, at least gives the impression that you're disregarding their stated intent to bring in the input of the people. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this time, that is the final conclusion for the in-person comments. Mr. City Clerk, do we have online or telephone comments?
Yes, currently I see one hand raised with a phone number ending in 98.
Yes, good evening. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Vince Carlin of Joshua Tree Street in Palm Desert. I'd like to thank the council for the opportunity to speak. It's no surprise that this issue is such a hotly contested one, because it really speaks to the future of the city. And I think a lot of times it's prudent when considering the future to also take a look at the past. And what I mean by that specifically is, how did we get to this point with respect to redistricting? If my tabulations are correct, looking back in 2018, Palm Desert selected its council members at large. Everyone voted for the same people in the same way. That started to change in 19 when there was a transition to 2 districts. Some people got 4 votes. Some other less fortunate people could only vote for 1 council member. We switched over to ranked choice voting, which was no small exercise in confusion. And then it seems that experiment was one and done as we switch over now to 5 districts, where voters will have, will only be able to vote for 1 person. So the moral of the story here, the point that I'm trying to make, is there's really been a lot of disruption for the everyday Palm Desert voter in the last, say, 5 years as a result of this process. And, you know, if the goal is to encourage civic participation, if the goal is to try to get as many people as possible to vote, I can't say that this has probably been a great way to go about doing it. I strongly suspect that the everyday Palm Desert voter, the Palm Desert voter that probably doesn't show up at a city council meeting, you know, might be really reaching the point of fatigue. And the reason that I bring this up is it's my understanding that MAP 109 is really trying to give some consideration not only to the present, but also to the future of how the city might develop. And when we think that we will have a new census in 5-6 years from now, and the maps may potentially change again, if MAP 109 is the type of map that lends to the least disruption in the future, you know, I think that is a stability that should be prized, given kind of what what Palm Desert voters have really kind of been put through in recent years. And I think that's a point that that should not be overlooked. Those are my comments. Thank you.
If there are any additional speakers on Zoom, please raise your hand. Seeing none, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. City Clerk. Now that we have concluded the public comment section, is this where we now discuss as our colleagues, or please provide direction in this very detailed process?
Typically, you would go through the question and answer period, and then once you concluded question and answers, you would move into your deliberations.
Thank you very much. Deferring to my colleagues, are there any comments or questions?
To the city clerk, has the demographer commented on 102C?
And Shalice is here, but the adjustments were evaluated and determined that it would be population balanced and would not result in any split HOAs. However, the revision was submitted after the deadline for which maps needed to be submitted. And since the council selected only one focus map, it wasn't within staff's prerogative to bring that map forward unless the council so directs.
All right, and then just to go back in time, I did ask the question of the demographer if there was any way to not divide an HOA community, and I was given the answer no. So that, I just want that noted.
And just for clarification, Shalice's response was that she could not find a solution. It was not that there was no solution.
And may I also add, and I thank you for allowing me the opportunity to clarify, that is the correct answer, that we could not find a solution. What I failed to add was within the context of the Fair Maps Act. So since MAP 102C has been presented, we have heard some strong support for the Northern District and some identification of some communities of interest served by the Northern District. It would be helpful if we heard similar communities identified for the District 3 of that map. That helps when trying to explain odd shapes of districts.
Thank you.
Are we ready for comments?
By all means, Councilmember Truby.
Thank you. Regarding the school district issue, this is something I was made aware of a couple years ago on a separate investigation into another issue. I don't know if anybody on staff could give me an answer. This right here might have to wait till the next meeting, but I was under the impression that there were pockets of land lots, we'll say north of Frank Sinatra. It's not as though the entire section of our city north of Frank Sinatra is in the Palm Springs Unified. Is that correct? It's just pockets of a couple acre lots here and there that fall under PSUSD's jurisdiction. I just want to understand the distinction.
If the council would like, I can bring up a map that shows the school district boundaries.
Yes,
Perfect.
please.
Okay. And Shalice, if you could help me describe what we're looking at. Correct. This is an overlay of 109 with the boundaries of the school district turned on.
The
Shalice?
boundary is Frank Sinatra.
Yes, the green dashed line runs along Frank Sinatra. Everything above Frank Sinatra goes to Palm Spring Unified School District. There are roughly 4,000 total people in that area. The orange area that's above Frank Sinatra represents roughly 1,300 people.
Perfect. And do we have any numbers from the demographer on how many students actually attend? You know, of those 4,000, how many are school age, how many attend, percentages? Is it clear in that?
I do not have that information at the moment. We know that there are total people, 4,000 people, and the orange area, there are 1,300.
Perfect. Thank you.
Seeing no other questions, is there a discussion?
Sure. I don't want to take us too far off track, but a perception has been expressed that the city has been preoccupied with the South or invested more heavily in the South than in the North. And I want to recap some history. When the city first donated the land for the CSUSB Palm Desert campus and the UC Riverside campus, it did so with excitement that those institutions would be a vibrant anchor, making development in the northern part of the city just as attractive as historic parts of the city. And we have consistently fought for the expansion of programs at those campuses, open lectures, theater, other events to achieve that vision. Similarly, the city reserves space for major parks and recreation investments in the north. And most of you active advocates know that as we discovered, the reserved land would be too small to build a park comparable to Civic Center and Freedom Park. We expanded our vision to look for greater space, preserving the originally reserved space as a community park, but seeking a location that could match the resources of Civic Center and Freedom Park. I encourage you all to pull up the city's general plan, which expresses a commitment to assure that the North is developed with a complement of businesses and destinations that will serve residents. And we recently committed to use a consultant to make sure that the zoning is in place for remaining vacant areas to achieve all the vision in the general plan. We are not a divided city. We are a city committed to the equal enjoyment of life by all our residents. And I encourage us all, however this issue is resolved, to walk away, not just believing that, but being a part of it. We may see this issue differently, but don't let that distract us from that core shared vision. Please. I thank everyone who has participated in this discussion. It has helped me refine my thinking. Those of you who are advocating for MAP 102C will be disappointed to hear that my refined thinking doesn't include veering from the course that we set at our last meeting. I supported limiting us to MAP 109 and moving forward in hopes that it would display this council's commitment to effectuate the transfer to 5 districts as expeditiously as possible so that respective candidates could assess and make plans. And as I have pondered each of the arguments that has been made, it has affirmed for me that we should stay the course. One of the issues that has been brought up is our advocacy for commuter rail and its potential impact. That's an excellent point. And it's comparable to the point I brought up at the last meeting about the importance of infrastructure investments to enhance the capacity of the Mid-Valley Channel. MAP 109 keeps all of the residents directly impacted by those 2 major infrastructure issues together. We do have a draft version of MAP 102C, which was kindly supplied by Mr. Nelson. And to achieve the population balance, it cuts off the easternmost portion of those residents affected by these 2 major infrastructure challenges. We've heard discussion of the school district. Frankly, I think that's a red herring because both of these maps contain group people together from both school districts. MAP because the boundary is on Frank Sinatra. MAP 102C inherently includes people from both Palm Springs Unified and Desert Sands Unified. But beyond that, many students, particularly students in this area, seek interdepartmental transfers. So looking for a community interdistrict transfers. So looking for a community of interest based on that can be elusive. We've heard a contention that there is a younger demographic north of Country Club that deserves to be grouped together. Well, some of our longstanding retirement communities are north of Country Club. Palm Desert Greens Country Club is predominantly retirees. I think what you'll find is that there's a mix of ages throughout the city, and it's not an accident. We have been committed since our inception to a mix of housing, mixing single family with multifamily, mixing different price points so that we're not divided. Just as there are younger folks in the north, there are younger folks in the south. Some of our most affordable multifamily housing is along Deep Canyon in what will be the South Palm Desert District. We've heard concerns about sprawling shapes. And here's the reality. When we established District 1, we worked very, very hard to maximize minority participation in a single district. That gave it an odd shape. So no matter what we do, there will be some odd shapes around it. And map 102C gives an even odder shape than map 109 to the green district currently marked number 3. So I continue to believe that with the benefit of our extensive public comment, we should renew our commitment to map 109 as our focus map, accept staff's recommendation for sequencing of elections and renumbering, and stay the course.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Kelly. Is there any other comment from my peers?
All right, I agree with all the points Kathleen, my colleague Kathleen mentioned. I also want to make a few notes. There was a lot of, obviously, most of the opposition to map 109 is coming from residents in the northern part of town. I think we can all agree the northern part of our city is pretty much acknowledged and accepted to be north of Country Club. That seems to be the dividing line most people are using. And when I look at map 109, I see the opportunity for the northern part of town to be represented by potentially 2 candidates from the north end. Map 5, there's a good portion of residential development already in place and more houses on the way north of Country Club Drive, all the way up there to Gerald Ford. And of course, map 3, that is a northern district. So there's a good chance you will have 2 potential council members from the northern part of town, giving the voice of the northern part of the city a stronger position on council. In addition, map 102, as Mayor Kelly, former Mayor Kelly mentioned, map 102 divides the school district. So that argument, I'm not sure I really can agree or go along with that argument. Both maps divide a school district. That's about it. I think if you really care about the northern part of town and getting your voice heard, I believe 109 gives you the best opportunity to do that. So, and in addition, I don't like it, but there's a good possibility that there's not much difference between 102 and 109 in terms of potential representation from the eastern part of town. Palm Desert Country Club appears to be contained within both maps. And though I wouldn't like it, you may very well get a candidate that runs from Palm Desert Country Club. And with map 109's district boundaries, I would be unseated. So you might even have, maybe for the first time ever, a resident from Palm Desert Country Club as well. That's something to consider. I mean, both maps acknowledge that, but I think that's something to consider, that map 109 reflects map 102 in that regard, and in that the eastern part of the city is pretty well represented there. And those are my comments. Thank you.
Just add on to what he said.
Please do.
Okay, so to add on to Councilmember Truby, when you were saying that potentially the north would have 2 council members on representing the northern area. I want, keep in mind, it takes 3 votes to get anything passed by the city council. There's 5 of us. So you really need at least 3 members of the council to vote on an issue that's important to you if you want to approve something. So I just wanted to underscore that. And also a couple of years ago, I met with the Desert Sands School Board and a representative from Palm Springs School Board to see about annexing the area north of Frank Sinatra to bring it into Desert Sands, because so many of these students get exemptions and they're going to Palm Desert High School, or they're going to Lincoln Elementary or Carter. They're already getting those exemptions. Unfortunately, it was cost prohibitive to do anything at this point, and I recall that even in the next 10 years, there isn't any plan to build a Palm Springs school in that area. There, you'll see a sign over there that says future home of Palm Springs Unified. It's years and years out. So I just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Thank you. As Councilmember Kelly was speaking, I was just kind of ticking off all the things that I was going to say. And I assure you, she said it all far more eloquently than I would have. But I do want to reiterate a few of those things. And when we say we've ignored the North, I still don't know where that line of delineation is. When we looked at the CSU UCR campus, it was for the benefit of not only our city, our entire city, but it was the benefit for the region. But we looked at it recognizing it would promote good, strong community and growth in that area. And we still do. And I do encourage you to look at the general plan update and how we are working to fulfill everything we looked at, we envisioned by a group of community members. It wasn't a council project, and it was a product of community members. I do want to thank everybody who's participated. This has been 6 months now, and we've all had ample opportunity with myriad methods to participate, whether it was through the website, through Zoom, or in the workshops that many of you attended, and I thank you for that. I did not go to any workshops. The last thing I wanted to do was influence anyone's thoughts while they were there, but I did receive many phone calls, many emails, and responded to them about this issue. As one of our speakers said, we're never going to please everyone. And this today is one of those times where there will be no one who walks away 100% happy with what we've decided on, whatever that may be. I did notice there were a few inaccuracies. There were several absolutes. And there was even a couple accusatory remarks that not productive. That's not who we are. And ultimately, we talked about the train. I can just tick that off my list too. That's to serve our community. And it's a great asset. So I want to remind everybody that at the conclusion of this, what we are is not somebody determined who they are by an ink line on a map. Who we are neighbors. We are community members. And when we developed the concept of Unite Palm Desert during COVID, it was all about helping neighbors. And we did brilliantly when we reached out to help neighbors, not separated the neighbors. So don't let this issue separate us. Ultimately, when this is all said and done, we're neighbors. And we do our best when we work together. And I too believe that 109 gives the best opportunity for voices to be heard, decisions to be made, And I assure you that however this is broken up, I will still get calls, still get texts, still get emails from everyone from the entirety of the city. And I am happy to do so, and I will continue to serve the city with that as my philosophy. Thank you.
Anything else before I give my comments? Thank you so much. I have heard from a lot of you that have been coming consistently, some of you that are here for the first time, and we've received a lot of emails during a lot of the process at different stages. And at the beginning, it seemed very polarized, like we have here tonight. I support 109. I support 102. I support 102. I do not support 109. And wherever we live, whatever our life experiences are, we have our own values. I can think of different examples in where you may relate to something, but it doesn't mean that it is the same experience. You may have empathy, but it is different than sympathy. And I think this is one of those situations where you can think that living in one part of the city, that you experience the same thing, but it is not the actual physical fact of living there and facing these challenges day after day. Earlier, I recall hearing a conversation regarding, I think it was leaf blowers and how they move sand from one place to another. Sand is an issue that has come around consistently, and we need to look at public health impacts of all of them. We look at the challenges that we face on a daily basis in very different ways. In terms of people that may go back and wonder how we got here. Mr. City Clerk, can you show us what 102C looks like, even though it was submitted after the fact? Since we are having a discussion on this, I'm aware that people, again, that may be watching on Zoom or watch after the fact, have the right to know, for the sake of transparency, what that looks like.
This is the rendering that was submitted by Mr. Nelson. Oh, sorry.
And so that highlights in the center that District 1 remains unchanged as it was determined in the CVRA lawsuit. And the change that is made, I believe, is where it says upper something, I can't quite, upper central, I believe, and then South Palm Desert. That hard line, that is where the determination was made in switching between what was presented in 102 and what now the NDC demographer says is an option. Is that correct?
This is a viable option.
Okay. And what did it take to make that viable?
Certainly. So as you can see, there's a number represented here, 297. This HOA that was split, which is the Hidden Palms community, it had about 160 people or so that needed to go into this district that was formed in order for the map to be population balanced. And that resulted in the map splitting in HOA. Mr. Nelson discovered that if you take Country Club between Hoveley, Portola, and Cook, and take the JW Marriott properties plus a gated community that's to the Portola side, and move that into the upper district, then that would also achieve a population balanced map that does not result in any HOAs being split.
Thank you. One of the additional comments was in regards to future housing and future growth. When we acknowledge that a lot of that housing that has been determined is a lot of accessible housing. Again, it is workforce housing. And my understanding is that there are current HOAs that have gotten underways that have not fully built out. So there is no real way of guaranteeing that all of these projects that are on paper going to be underway, there's no guarantee, just as was mentioned, future site of Palm Springs Unified. We don't have that crystal ball. Now, if everything should be built on time, who tends to live in affordable housing? Who tends to live in that workforce housing? At that point, if we fail to keep these communities together, we are ignoring a critical community of interest, which is an economic base. If we look at, once again, who are the demographics and cultural background of people that would live in this housing, we are also diluting the purpose and the voice of another set of protected classes. So again, as Mayor Pro Tem Harnick mentioned, there's no one that's going to walk out 100% satisfied. We're not here to give everybody the happy feelings, maybe at the beginning with proclamations and awards for our parades. There are things that we celebrate as a community, but this is about the future of our community and how it looks for all of us. Looking through that same window doesn't mean that you see the same exact things. So I believe that what the community is hearing, no, it's not what I believe. I did attend those workshops because I did want to hear from people and hear their passion. And it was a 60-40 split. I counted them. I'm a compulsive note taker. You'll see me here. It's not that I don't pay attention. I'm taking notes. It is a 60-40 split of people that are asking the council to please consider 102C. As the council, we drive policy and we have the option to say, you know what, let's take a step back. We can make a decision. We can decide tonight to reconsider a map that is population compliant, that is per NDC compliant. We can have the option to listen to our residents. They are not just voters, they are people that live here. Our kids live here. They don't vote, but we have to look at the future that's being built for them. And living in some of these apartments means that they will have a different experience if we should cut these lines completely differently. Thank you.
Madam Mayor. Thank you. I just want to clarify some of the facts because our staff report does include an updated version of the residential project status. And it shows roughly 2/3 of approved projects actually under construction with continuing progress. Those that are being completed are being quickly occupied. And it includes a mixture of single-family homes at various price points, particularly new phases of University Park, as well as multifamily housing. Because again, as I shared before, it is the philosophy of this city to afford a mixture of housing types to prevent us from being divided into silos. With the best interests of our northern residents, our eastern residents, our western residents, and our southern residents, with the best interests of all Palm Desert residents in mind, I move to accept staff's recommendation for the sequencing of elections, as well as the renumbering of map 109, and to leave it unchanged as our focus map. That's my motion.
I'll second that.
I welcome hearing the first and the second of the motion by my peers. And I would like to issue for consideration that we have projects, as one of our public comments stated, that were initiated in 2008, maybe 2010, that are still not finished. That just because we get to the first phase does not guarantee that we will have the developer get things all the way through. We experienced a pandemic where we never imagined the way that the cost of supplies would be impacted. Right now, we know the cost of labor is going up, and we cannot guarantee. We can have a plan. We can have a plan. And I think that what we are committing ourselves is to an idea that these housing units will all be built and come to fruition at the same time. At the same conversation, I see that we've got members of the community that have their vision where things come to fruition to have a representation. And having representation for the residents that are currently here, instead of the voice for those that may not come anywhere now, that may come closer to 2030, where we will have a new census and we will redraw the boundaries. And we do not know at that time which developments have come entirely to fruition and what will shift. It doesn't mean that is the only section that will shift. As we saw by the map 102C, it could be one section here that moves to another. We can't predict. We can't predict. But I think here and now, we would be ignoring the voice of our current residents in favor of idealized future residents.
I think we're ready to vote.
Mr. City Clerk?
Yes, I'll open the voting system now. Motion passes 4-1.
And at this time, we do close the public hearing for this item and return to the other public hearing later on the agenda. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Hereby close the public session or the public comment regarding redistricting.
And just for the record, for those who are only able to hear us, that was a 4-1 vote with Mayor Quintanilla voting no.
Thank you so much. We resume our agenda as stated, and we will now go to item 12, which is where we left off with non-agenda public items. This time has been set aside for public to address the City Council on issues that are not on the agenda for up to 3 minutes. Speakers may utilize one of the 3 options listed on the first page of the agenda. Because of the Brown Act, it does not allow City Council to act on items not listed on the agenda. Members may briefly respond or refer the matter to staff for a report and recommendation at a future meeting. First public comment is from Marie Garcia. Do we still have Marie Garcia from Coachella Urban Farms? I apologize, Mario. It looks like it says Marie. My apologies.
Handwriting's a little off. Okay. So I'm here on behalf of Coachella Urban Farms and the Certified Farmers Market. I just wanted to take a moment of your time and let you guys know that, first of all, it's an honor to represent the Coachella Valley, being born and raised here and serving our community with quality microgreens. And that's what we do to service our community. And a lot of the farmers in the Coachella Valley much like what you said, we can't control what other people do, but we can do the best of our abilities to provide our community with quality ingredients. And nowadays, a lot of things are evolving, if you will, in the projects that you guys have ongoing. And I think the beautiful thing about Farmers Market is that it does unite the community and serves all of your community members of Palm Desert. So with all due respect, we would appreciate the support, of the city, just like we strive to be the best in every other aspect that you guys provide the community. El Paseo's so awesome, McCullum Theater, Living Desert, like you guys also touched on earlier. So why not make the farmers market also the best it can be in the city? So again, thank you for your time, and you guys have a good rest of your night. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we please have Lise, I can't quite tell, is this Shalbaran? Please correct me.
Hi, it's Lise Shakroon.
Okay,
You're very
Shakroon,
close.
thank
Yeah.
you.
So I'm going to read off my phone like a true millennial. Forgive the informality. So thank you so much for the opportunity to be heard today. I am a small business owner and honored to be one of the vendors of the certified farmers markets out here. I started my own skincare line 3 years ago, a dream I'd had since I was pregnant with my first daughter, almost 12 years ago. So it took me a while to have the funds and the time and the mental space to be able to do it. So it feels really incredible to be able to step into that fully now. So as a business owner, I'm truly grateful to Christiana and the whole team for the opportunity to be a vendor at the farmers markets. The weekly events allow me to grow my business at my own pace, which is invaluable for me. As a growing business, I barely have a social media following. So I rely heavily on the efforts that Christiana and the team puts in to promote the markets, as well as the city's support in promoting this wonderful community event geared towards bringing people together while promoting local businesses and especially supporting sustainable business practices. Also, as a homeschooling parent, I'm also so grateful to be able to bring my kids to these events, showing them real life experience of being a business owner and a member of a wonderful community of vendors. My kids, they each have jobs and tasks to accomplish, and I explain to them each step of what I do. They also get to interact with the other vendors, in addition to all the lovely patrons that come out to the markets to support our businesses. This experience is truly priceless for my girls and for me as well. The vision I had, 12 years ago is finally coming to fruition, and it's a gift. So that's why I'm here supporting Christiana and the whole family of vendors, as this issue affects not just the market team and the vendors, but the entire community who is somewhat unaware that there is such an awesome event happening right in their backyard. I have many customers comment on how they didn't even know that the Wednesday event is happening. And this has not been an issue with the other markets that I've done in the other cities. So we're here to bring awareness to this issue, as city support for this community event is crucial, and to the success of our business and to the whole experience for the patrons. I sincerely hope that we can work together to promote this event and grow the Palm Desert Farmers Market to its full and vibrant potential. So thank you so much for hearing us out. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we please hear from Christiana Green?
I'm also going to read from my phone because that's what we do. Ladies and gentlemen and of the Palm Desert City Council, city staff, and fellow community members, I'm Christiana Green, who along with my daughter and son-in-law operate 4 of the local certified farmers markets. I'm honored to address you today on behalf of our cherished farmers markets, an essential thread in the fabric of our community. a vibrant gathering space for the city, weaving together the well-being of our residents and the economic prosperity of small family businesses. The success of the farmers market relies not only on the hard work and dedication of those involved, but also the visibility and endorsements we receive from the cities and communities that we operate in. Other cities have embraced the opportunity to showcase the richness of our local produce and the vibrant spirit of our community through active promotion throughout the city and on social media platforms. I was very encouraged when I met with the city officials who warmly encouraged the reopening of the Wednesday Farmers Market, which was open for 12 years and closed in April 2022. Our family reopened it in 2023. After a year of being closed, the reopening and making residents and visitors aware of the new operation has been a huge struggle. Social media stands as a powerful tool that has proven to be instrumental in the success of events like ours. This simple yet impactful act of sharing and, more importantly, posting about the farmers market can significantly broaden our reach, attracting not only local residents, but also visitors eager to experience a flourishing farmers market that provides the freshest and most nutritious produce available regionally within a 100-mile radius, which reduces food miles and decreases the carbon footprint, improving the environment and keeping profits in the hands of farmers who directly sell to the communities. I encourage the members of the Palm Desert City Council to recognize the potential of embracing our farmers market via communication to residents, guests, and helping us find effective ways to ensure that the Palm Desert Certified Farmers Market on Wednesdays can continue and thrive and grow. This isn't merely about supporting a market, it's about elevating the essence of Palm Desert, a city that has cherished its local businesses, encourages a healthy lifestyle, and fosters a profound sense of community. I've seen our neighboring cities rally around its farmers markets, and everyone reaps the rewards. And I'm here to ask the city of Palm Desert to do the same. Increased foot traffic translates to more customers for local businesses, a strengthened local economy, and an elevated sense of community pride. I feel compelled today to encourage Palm Desert to join in and celebrate the farmers market, and by doing this will strengthen the network of markets across the valley in their credibility. I encourage the city of Palm Desert to take an active role in the farmers market by becoming weekly supporters, promoting it in the community and on social media, and supporting small businesses. Together we can cultivate a healthier community that deeply values and supports the families of farmers and
I
artisans.
do apologize. Your time is up. Thank you so much. I would now like to call up Leo Becerra.
Hello, good evening. My name's Leo. I'm a local beekeeper. That's here in the Coachella Valley. I have about 120 hives. Selling honey at the farmers market is important for several reasons. It allows local beekeepers like myself to directly connect with consumers. It educating them about the benefits of raw local honey and how important it is for their immune system, for their allergies and all that stuff. This direct interaction fosters trust, supports the local economy, and promotes sustainable beekeeping practices. Additionally, farmers markets provide a platform for small-scale beekeepers like myself to showcase the unique flavors of their honey, contributing to biodiversity awareness and fostering community engagement. So if you could just please take a moment and consider what we're asking, is just to promote more of the farmers markets and help farmers like myself and everybody else sell their products. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we please have Nancy Gutierrez?
Thank you for listening to me today, to all the directors and the city council members. Thank you for your time. I need to speak up. My name's Nancy Gutierrez. I live here in Palm Desert. And I'm really frustrated by all of this stuff moving so fast. The smart cities coming in, hearing about, that we have this global warming emergency going on. And there's just so much baloney out there that's going on. I just thought that I would just bring up carbon dioxide, just basic carbon dioxide. And if you listen to this, there's some life-saving tips as far as if you have a stroke, if you have a heart attack, carbon dioxide is very important. And so if anything, I just want to remind the council members that it's very important that we do have carbon dioxide, CO2, and we need more of it. In a 2010 interview, there is the late Ray, well, he passed away last year, Ray Peat. He is a biologist and he is a physiologist. And he really learned a lot about carbon dioxide through the decades. The reality is that CO2 is a driver of mitochondrial energy production, and it improves the delivery of oxygen into your cells. In fact, CO2 appears to be more fundamental component of living matter than oxygen is. All of this well known in decades past, but somehow knowledge about the beneficial effects of CO2 or carbon dioxide has been suppressed over time. As explained by Dr. Ray Peat, PEAT, CO2 and lactate have opposing effects. For example, elevated lactate production is a common theme in diabetes, Alzheimer's, heart failure, shock, and general aging. It promotes inflammation, degrades mitochondrial function. Conversely, with the opposite, very low CO2 concentrations have been linked to epileptic seizures, muscle spasms, inflammation, hypothyroidism, stroke, and clotting disorders. CO2 therapies are the cure. Pete tells the story of how he told an actual individual suffering from a transient ischemic heart attack who'd gone to the emergency room with stroke symptoms and paralysis on several occasions to drink a soda or carbonated water when the attack occurred. And that worked for him. Another thing about CO2, I know I'm going to lose time here. Okay, well, I guess I'm going to lose a lot of time. I just hope everyone looks into carbon dioxide for themselves. His name is R-A-Y, Ray, P-E-A-T.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you. I do appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Can we please have Christelle Proque come forward?
She left.
Okay. We will now jump to Jim Sievely. Thank you.
Board of Directors of the Palm Desert Senior Softball Association, PDSSA, directed me to read this statement to you today. My name is Jim Sievey. I am the Secretary Treasurer of the PDSSA. The information in the packets that each of you have been provided describes what transpired under the leadership of our President, Paul Jones, and Vice President, Laverne DeWald. All of the information in your packets are backed by documentation, much of it being email messages like the two stapled to your packet. Those two items are emblematic of the activities, the individuals who turned Senior Softball of Palm Desert, SSOPD, into a living being while being directors, officers, and team managers at the PDSSA. We have been informed by the staff of the Desert Recreation District that we must provide a list of registered players by December 28th, and that this will be compared to a list that the SSOPD provides, and the organization that has the most players registered will get to use the fields that we have reserved for use in 2023 and 2024. The fields that the SSOPD have reserved are not playable in the wintertime. They knew this when they made the reservation for the fields. There's more information about this, including videos, in your packets. Your packets have copies of email between the current president of the PDSSA and the president of the Desert Recreation District asking why the rules have been yet again changed about who can play on the fields. The first change was when we were told that the fields were available on a first-come, first-served basis. Now that we have the fields on a first come basis, a new metric has been interjected, registered players. There's not a 12-year-old child in this valley who cannot see what is going on here. So why are you going along with the Desert Recreation District, partnering with people who conceived and built the SSOPD while in office as the presidents, vice presidents, officers, team managers of our association? We have never understood why you did not contact us when the SSOPD representative approached you about being able to provide services for the city. Your failure to make this contact with us makes no sense. The questions you should be asking now that you have some facts about what has transpired are these. Do we want to continue with the current plan to keep the PDSSA from using fields 1 and 3? And do we want to continue to be in a partnership with the SSOPD to provide senior softball services for our city, given the things that they have engaged in? All of that's in your packets. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. If we can now hear from John Siegel.
Honorable Mayor Quintanilla, Council, and Lieutenant Paras. I thank you for great help and support during a recent crisis my wife and I experienced. Deputy Rivera provided help during what may have been the most difficult few hours I have experienced. On Thursday, November 30th, my wife, Lisa, fell out of cell contact and off of our GPS tracker while she was running an errand to sell a large amount of gold jewelry she had inherited. After Lisa also failed to arrive at a normal appointment at 4 o'clock, I started working with the local ERs, the police dispatchers in Palm Springs, Cathedral City, and Palm Desert to find her, knowing only that her phone had gone off the network while traveling on 111 toward Palm Desert. After I spoke with your dispatcher, Deputy Rivera called in with great efficiency and professionalism, gathered mine and my wife's information, found that her missing car had not driven past a plate reader that evening, and offered great clarity and problem solving. He cared and was supportive in a way that is rare. Our crisis came from a few unusual circumstances. When Lisa was driving to the gold buyer, her phone dropped into a cell hole in Rancho Mirage. While the jeweler was dealing with a very lengthy process of evaluating the collection, she fell extremely ill with a migraine and was barely able to monitor the process that she was involved in. After more than 5 hours off the network, she was finally able to return my text, drove home to Palm Springs, and was again on our GPS tracker. She was quite ill and unable to understand unable to talk, and didn't learn of what we had done to find her until the next morning. Deputy Rivera's work and professionalism helped when I needed it most. Deputy Rivera sets the highest example for service and excellence in the community, and I can't thank him enough.
Thank you very much. Our next and final comment from Barbara Wasserkrug. How do you pronounce it? Wasserkrug, thank you.
Oops. Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. This afternoon, I'd like to bring awareness and warn the general public about the mRNA spike protein gene editing bioweapon injection, also known as the COVID-19 vaccine, that is continuing to be pushed upon us and propagandized by media, doctors, and pharmacies for almost 3 years now. According to Pfizer's own website, it states, quote, mRNA technology is a good fit for gene editing. We want to make these editing proteins for just a short period of time to modify the genome, end of quote. Gene editing means changing your DNA. The World Health Organization's website states, quote, "If you are pregnant, make sure you get vaccinated and boosted against COVID-19. It is recommended in every pregnancy," end of quote. Ask yourself, do you really want to change your baby's DNA before it comes out of your womb? I would also include the other immunization bioweapons in this group, such as the RSV respiratory virus, the flu, pneumonia, whooping cough, and shingles. All of these weaponized injections have mRNA and gene editing technology in them and do not meet the definitions or requirements for a vaccine or an immunization at all. In fact, according to the widely acclaimed professional Professor Ian F. Achilles, who is a member of the Georgia Institute of Technology Scientific Advisory Board, he quoted at his NATO seminar series in March of 2023, quote, "The COVID-19 vaccines are mRNA, small-scale, nanoscale machine programs that are injected. These weapons are designed as graphene-based plasmonic nano antennas for terahertz band communications. In other words, the injections turn the human body into an antenna that can communicate with 5, 6, and 7G. This information may come as a surprise to many, so I would like to give you a brief indication of who Ian F. Achilles is and where you may find the information I am mentioning, as it is all on the internet. Professor Achilles has received his BS, MS, and PhD degrees in electrical and computer engineering from the University of Erlangen-Nuremberg, Germany. He's the founder and editor-in-chief of the International Telecommunications Union. And he's currently is the president of the company Truvia Inc., based in Atlanta, among a long list of other affiliations. He's also received numerous awards from many professional organizations and has thousands of peer-reviewed papers he has published and are used as reference materials all over the world. You may also listen to his full presentation
Thank
that
you
I
so
just
very
mentioned.
much, Ms. Wasser-Krug. Your time is up. 3 minutes,
you for your
just as
attention.
everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you.
How about we take a small, brief bio break, stretch break, whatever you may need?
Madam Mayor, if you want to take just one comment that's on Zoom.
Absolutely. My apologies.
We do have Francis Fernandez.
Hello, my name is Francis Fernandez. I'm the Senior Public Affairs Specialist with the South Coast Air Quality Management District. We're reaching out to encourage everyone to submit a nomination for our upcoming Clean Air Awards to recognize organizations and individuals who've made contributions to cleaning our air. For over 3 decades, the South Coast AQMD has honored those across the region who have helped improve the air we breathe. So we ask that if you know any clean air leaders in categories such as government, public health, environmental justice, innovative technology, youth and education, just to name a few, please show them your love and support with a Clean Air Award nomination. Nominees can include individuals, groups, and organizations, and the nomination deadline is next month on January 19th. You can find out more about our 34th Annual Clean Air Awards and submit your nominations by visiting aqmd.gov/CAA. That's aqmd.gov/CAA for Clean Air Awards. We're looking forward to seeing all your all our nomination submissions, and thank you for your time.
And that concludes public comment, Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor, maybe we could just tackle consent. That way, if someone is here for an item, they'll know if it's passed.
If that is okay with my colleagues to continue in place of a break, I fully support that. And before moving on to that, if I can ask in direction with staff, since we did have a peculiar request with regards to the Desert Recreation District, if we can explore that a little further.
My understanding is there's a meeting taking place tomorrow morning, and Sean Muir will be briefing us in the next few days.
Thank you, much appreciated. And now, since we've covered number 12, we move on to the consent calendar. Are there any items that my peers would like to pull?
Move to approve.
Second.
Madam Mayor, staff would like to request the removal of item 13Z related to section 29 retention basin.
And I would like to also pull item L. Thank you. Is that okay to revise the motion to move the consent calendar with the exceptions of L and Z?
Yes.
Does that go along with the seconder of the motion?
Certainly. I do have a question. When you said remove Z, are we?
For discussion, it's just
Oh.
a matter of clarification.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, move everything except L and Z.
I'll second the motion.
Voting's open. Motion passes 5-0.
Now a break.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We will take, does 15 minutes seem okay? I know it's been a while. Do you want 10? Would 10 be okay? You're okay with 5? Okay, let's take a quick 5-minute stretch break. Please be back at 6:38 where we will resume our agenda. Thank you. Thank you so much for everyone that came back for the break promptly. I would like to see if we can now move on with the two items pulled from the consent calendar, items L and item Z. And item L reads, approve a license agreement between the City of Palm Desert and Desert Way Ventures for use of a portion of assessor's parcel numbers 620-450-002 and 620-370-003 and 620-370-004. We'll skip to -020 and -033 and -043 in the interest of time.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Eric Sayad, Director of Economic Development. The request before you is to approve a licensing agreement that would allow Desert Wave Ventures to occupy the property for approximately 2 years while they construct the Desert Surf project. This is for Lot E at Desert Willow that is city-owned. In that agreement, there's a 30-day notice for termination in case we sell the property or have other needs for it. But right now, based on some of the other uses that we've allowed on Lot E in the past, we are recommending that this lease be for $1 a year.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay, thank you so much. Would anyone like to move forward?
Move to approve.
I'll second the motion.
Motion passes 4-1 with Mayor Quintanilla voting no.
Thank you, Mr. City Clerk. And it is your discretion to pull item Z.
Yes, on item 13Z, and that matter is the award of contract to Van Dyke Corporation and appropriate funds for Section 29 retention basin improvements and expansion. There was a bid protest filed by Conterra Construction. City finance staff as well as legal staff has evaluated that protest and determined that it is meritless. The response letter was included in your supplemental materials as well as the bid protest. And staff is requesting an additional recommendation be added to reject the bid protest from Conterra Construction.
I will move the matter with the suggested addition.
I will second the motion.
Councilmember Trubee. Let's try that again. Motion passes 5-0.
We now continue to item 14, the action calendar. The public may comment on individual action items within the 3-minute time limit. Speakers may utilize one of 3 options listed on the first page of the agenda. Do we have any comment cards or comments online, Mr. City Clerk?
No public comment, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. First action item, to provide input and direction on North Palm Desert Community Park design. We have the staff report, please.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Sean Muir, Community Services Manager. You have before you a staff report requesting input and direction on the new community park located on Dinah Shore Drive in North Palm Desert, and a request to approve staff move forward with the final engineering and design plans for that park. Staff have worked extensively with Interwest Consulting Group on community engagement for this project and have heard feedback and gone to great lengths to understand the needs of the community, incorporate them into this design. So I'd like to hand it over at this time to Gianno Feoli to provide a presentation for you all.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. It's such a pleasure to be here. This is the presentation, or the bridge version of the presentation that we gave to the Parks and Rec Committee about a month ago. That was over 100 slides. I'm determined to get through this in 10 minutes. So as a reminder, there are 2 parks that are coming up for the North Palm Desert region. The community park shown in green, and a regional sports park, which is generally going to be somewhere within the area that's identified in yellow. So we just want to make sure that everybody understands that the regional park is going to be within that general area, not the entire footprint that's being shown in yellow. The community park comes from a commitment that was made in the Millennium Specific Plan. So that is something that we are continuing through this process. We were here and presented to you the conceptual version of that plan. We just want to reiterate what has been done, where are we in the process, just show you very quickly some design ideas that we developed to advance the project into the schematic phase and what our next steps are. So what has been done? We've had an extensive opportunity to hear from residents. We met with stakeholders following sort of a real sort of comprehensive round of presentations back in June. We then held a third open house actually at the iHub on August 5th. And then last month, we presented the revised designs to the Parks and Recreation Committee. Some of the takeaways that we got from a lot of the resident input, particularly in that third round, I'm sorry, of input at the iHub, was more parking, but less parking along Dinah Shore. We heard from a lot of residents that given the climate, particularly in the summer, nobody really walks to the park. So they really wanted to make sure that there was ample parking. They wanted less hardscape and more turf areas. Particularly with the dog owners, we heard a lot from them that they wanted separate entrances for both of those. Pavilions with a shared use area. For the activation core, we had initially talked about pickleball, basketball, and beach volleyball. We heard resoundingly that beach volleyball was not desired. More trees, more landscape, more color, more small moments for personalized use of the spaces, and more opportunities for connectivity, not just the primary paths. When we went to the Parks and Rec Committee, they graciously gave us the approval to move the schematic design for your consideration, with the consideration that additional lights be provided within the drainage basin so that could be used for informal sports areas. That's something that we will continue to look into as we move through the design development phase. One of the concerns that one of the board members brought up was that we had two separate parking lots, and there was a concern that somebody would go to one parking lot, not find parking, and have to circulate around to get to the other. So we thought that even though that was not a portion of their approval, that it was still valid to consider. So we definitely took that into the fray. As I said, we completed the conceptual design. We're now presenting to you the schematic design iteration with the goal of moving forward with design and engineering and construction plans preparation. The goal would be for the city staff to bring on a contractor early 2024 so that they can work in tandem with our design team to make sure that we can deliver a project that's within budget. The idea would be is that if we do get your approval tonight, we could be ready to finalize permitting and have the plans ready and be ready for construction at the end of 2024, beginning of 2025. Specific to the schematic plan, we want to remind everyone that the Palm communities, that's the affordable housing community that's coming off of Gerald Ford and Dinah Shore, has two entrances. The entrance labeled A is going through what is the park space. But we're going to be relying mostly on the access off of Technology Drive, which is access B. One of the things that came to light after our June presentations was some language in the development agreement that committed that the city had to have a 75-foot landscape buffer between along Dinah Shore on the east side of Dinah Shore. So that is the entire portion of Dinah Shore that fronts the Genesis community. So that sort of reshifted a lot of things for us. So initially, when we look at the concept plan, we had anticipated having parking there. When we factor in the 75-foot landscape buffer, you see that the inefficiencies of that parking lot start to occur. So we sort of we had to shift that parking over, and by increasing the parking count as well, that required everything to get shifted. So we've made those design modulations to share with you today. So these are the access points that we're looking at. We have increased the parking lot on the east side to 250 parking spaces that are going to have parking, including ADA and EV charging stalls. We did keep 10 parking stalls that are ADA centric along the west side, only because we wanted to provide ease of access to the restroom and ease of access to the children's playground. The pretreatment basin and the drainage basin that we discussed remains unchanged. The buffers were augmented. We heard from a lot of residents that they wanted more buffers along the highway segment. The Arts Plaza, the Garden Plaza, and the Cloud Plaza are still in the plan. The Cloud Plaza shifted, it got a little bit smaller, and it got tucked closer to the southern boundary. The large and small dog parks got resituated. The children's play area got more consolidated. We're still providing restroom and yard as well as a storage yard for facilities. The activation core was centralized between the dog park and the children's playground. We're providing some spectator lawns, flexible plaza areas, again, locations for art sculptures, continuous walking loops, and locations for outdoor fitness. So when we talk about the design updates, this is the new plan. The new plan looks at organizing all of these different elements in a way that we think sort of meets a lot of the values and a lot of the commitments that we had made when we first looked at the concept plan development. So what remains aligned with the original vision? This is in terms of context and ethos. The Arts Plaza, the drainage basin, the Dinah Shore streetscape, and the maintenance yard and parking lots area all remain essentially the same. So does the children's playground, the dog parks. In essence, yes, they were reshifted and they got a little bit smaller, but in essence, they're still the same. The botanical promenade and the parking lot and storage yard also remain the same. The thing that mostly substantially changed was the frontage along Dinah Shore between the Palm communities and the road. And what we did was that we created an amazing landscape buffer that's going to feel like a linear park. And we added a mall lawn that can double up as an opportunity for farmers market. So I was very pleased to hear the residents talking about how this, I could already start to envision how this park could be very supportive of those needs. When it comes to the activation core, as we said, we had initially talked about 3 different options. We heard resoundingly the pickleball and basketball was preferred. So we're providing 4 pickleball courts, 1 basketball court, and we have arranged them in a way where from the pavilions, you always have visibility to every one of these different activities. The shelters have been updated so that they can provide more ample shade. The Cloud Plaza, even though it got a little bit more compact, we're still providing a splash pad, and it can also double up as a second location for tents or farmers markets or uses such of that nature. For the structured shade, we came up with a modular strategy so that they could be more easily and more economically fabricated. And we had to make the entrance into the parking lot a little bit more ample, considering that now all the parking is consolidated in one area. If you have a large event where people are exited all at the same time, we wanted to make sure that we had enough queuing spaces. All the lighting has been adjusted to deal with the new design layout. And all in all, I think that we have remained committed to all of the values that we presented to you in the original conceptual plan. Again, our goals tonight is to get your approval with the intention of looking to have this project finalized and ready for construction at the end of the year. Thank you so much.
That is wonderful. Do any of my colleagues have a question? Mr. Parks and Rec, would we like to start with you? No questions. Okay.
No, it is fantastic. I was just getting shivers. Sorry, Mom, we're moving. I just gotta be close to this park. It's so exciting. Congratulations.
Good
Honor
work.
to hear
Good
that.
work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, looks very nice. Good work.
I have one quick question, if I may. Any ideas about having a community garden there that might?
Yes, absolutely. We do have tons of spaces where it's not only about a community garden, but also about pollinator gardens that we want to bring
Okay.
in. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
You know, you've had such great community input and committee input. I wouldn't want to fuss with a thing. I will move approval as presented.
And I will second.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We now move on to item 14B, extend the contract with YMCA for management of the Palm Desert Aquatic Center for an 18-month term.
Hello again. I have the pleasure of presenting a third item for the council this evening. And you have the staff report before you to extend the contract with the YMCA. I've prepared a brief presentation just to go through the key points of the staff report. So this is an extension of the agreement with the Family YMCA of the Desert, who's been a partner of the city since the Aquatic Center was opened in 2011. In 2018, an RFP process was conducted, and that resulted in a one-year contract with 4 one-year extensions, which had been used up through June 30th of this year. In 2022, in preparation for the next contract, an RFP was issued. However, at that time, staff realized that there was a need to revise the scope of work for that contract and started looking into those revisions. And so the contract was extended at that time through December 31st of this year. And moving forward, a second RFP was issued. However, again, moving through that process, new key performance indicators were coming online, and staff realized that more work was to be done in this area. And so those bids were rejected, and we find ourselves here today. So a summary of the changed scope of work that has been developed through this process is new key performance indicators, as I mentioned, and we'll get more in detail with those on the next slide. New roles and responsibilities have been defined between staff, city staff, and the YMCA, including new tasks taken on by the city, including the marketing program, financial management, more input on program direction, and then more input on the way that the concession stand is operated at the facility. The reporting is very prescriptive in the new scope of work, and then it also calls for the formation of an aquatic center committee, which would be formed and hold monthly meetings to provide direction on these items. Here's a summary in the scope of work of the key performance indicators. They're financial, programmatic, and operational. And just an overview of the agreement. So we're looking at Amendment 6 to extend for an 18-month term. That would take us through June 30th, 2025. But in about a year from now, we'd look at either going back out and issuing another RFP or considering other options from there. The fee is for 6 months, $100,210. And then for the following 12 months, $210,442, and that would be paid monthly by the city. The reporting, as indicated through the key performance indicators, is either monthly, quarterly, or annually, but all the reports will be reviewed monthly by the committee. And so for the next steps, the city staff will move forward with the YMCA hand in hand, implementing the updated scope of work, monitoring the success of new programs and making adjustments as needed, and then determining the future management strategy prior to fall 2024. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Do any of my colleagues have questions? There are no questions.
No questions. I want to thank you. Thank Ms. Simons who's here. Thank our council subcommittee and the other city staff involved for forging this path forward. So I will move the item.
Second.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
We move on to item 14C, award a contract number C44200B to American Landscape Incorporated of Canoga Park, California for the greens and tee box renovation and turf reduction at Desert Willow Golf Resort in the amount of $4,083,396.75, project number MLS 00005. We have the staff report.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Martin Alvarez, Director of Public Works. We want to take you through a couple slides to just give you background on where we're at with the Firecliff renovation project, give you some more ideas of where and how we got to this point to move forward. And so we'll go ahead and kick it off. Just by virtue of background, the North Course, which is the Firecliff course, is generally above Lot A, all the way up to Frank Sinatra in between Portola and Cook Street. Lot B, as you've heard before, that's the Desert Surf Project site that is moving forward and shortly will be kicking off. Lot A, just for background, is a lot where the city currently has a project to add 200 parking spaces that will assist with the development of these lot pads and also provide parking for staff and for visitors and guests that come to Desert Willow. So just by virtue of additional background, the two courses that are owned by the city were designed by architect Michael Hertzen. The Firecliff course opened in 1997. The Mountain View course opened in 1998. Both courses combined average over 90,000 rounds a year. It's very busy. There's a lot of demand. Staff has worked with the original golf course architect to establish a comprehensive renovation master plan for the entire golf course resort area. This has been accomplished over the last 10 years, and we have done some renovations in prior years. The Mountain View course, which is the south course that kind of backs up to Country Club Drive, was renovated in 2010. All the greens, bunkers, drainage were renovated. The Firecliff course has seen bunker renovation, and that was in 2016. Aside from that, there have been no other major renovations since it opened in the mid-1990s. The scope of work for this renovation project includes renovation of all greens, the practice green at the driving range facility, leveling off all the tees on all 18 holes, and relocation of one tee box area, hole number 10, which is right below lot 10, or lot A, that will accommodate future development, and also will help move the tee and golfers away from the parking lot area to assist with noise and other distractions that come in that area. The other part of this is turf reduction. That was part of the Desert Surf entitlements, and that was a mitigation measure that was brought forward and approved by the City Council. Talk a little bit about the turf reduction plan. Over 22 acres have been designed for removal of the Firecliff course. The Mountain View course is also currently under design, but that will be a future phase for turf reduction on that course. The replacement of the turf will be with inert materials, drought-tolerant plants, and decomposed granite. This will be an effort to it'll basically impact areas that are not part of the day-to-day golf experience. So there will not be any impact to playability, but we will see water and maintenance cost savings. Desert Surf, the developers, is required to reimburse the city for that portion of the design and the cost to remove the turf. That amount was included in the bid, and it totals $319,121. Just to give you a little illustration, we worked with our golf course architect to provide a background on a master plan for this turf reduction. The areas that you see in the orange and brown are basically the areas that will be turf removal areas. And as you can see, they're generally in these off areas behind tee box, behind greens, and playability will not be impacted, but we will see some additional savings. This is just a photo simulation to show, currently this is hole number 8 on Firecliff to show, as you can see, all the turf is basically from tee to green. And the photo simulation just shows kind of what that would look like. And so you'll see the areas that really don't come into play with golfers are going to be.
For you.
Well, not always, but so these areas will be again inserted with the desertscape and decomposed granite. It's not only just for the cost savings, but also the enhancement of the experience. As part of this process, of course, we worked with the golf course architect to develop the plans and specifications. Based on the complexity and the detailed experience you need to do golf course renovations, we went through a pre-qualification process for contractors, and we received 2 pre-qualified contractors. The bidding process was completed in October 2023. American Landscape was the apparent and only bidder. The other bidder indicated basically that their schedule would not allow them to bid for a project next summer, which is in 2024. Based on that sole bid that we received, we went through an extensive review of the bid with our consultants, our architects, and some of our other expert construction managers that we have. The bid itself was within industry standard, and we feel confident that it's within our budgets that we had estimated in previous months. If the contract's awarded, the project will be scheduled for the summer or May of 2024. It'll take through the end of September to get all the work completed in time to reopen for the season. With that, staff recommends award of the contract to American Landscape and the actions that are listed in the staff report. Myself and Derek White, our general manager at Desert Willow, are here to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions from my peers? I see your light on. Okay, no questions. No worries. If there are no questions.
I will move the item as recommended.
Second.
Motion passes 5-0.
We move on to item 14D, authorize the city manager to award task order contracts to multiple vendors for citywide tropical storm Hillary maintenance and repairs in an amount not to exceed $2 million. Project number SDS 00003. And the staff report.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council members. I'm Randy Chavez, Deputy Director of Public Works. Just a little recap on August 20th, Tropical Storm Hillary came to the valley, and unfortunately, it brought a lot of mud and debris from the Morongo Valley Basin with it as well. And that debris and sediment filled in our storm drainage systems. Although to date we have made significant progress cleaning up the systems, there's still a lot of work left to be done. Unfortunately, funds have been exhausted for multiple emergency contracts that were awarded to vendors shortly after the storm. With this project, staff intend to continue with the cleanup efforts without delay in order to ensure the systems are working properly for the next rain event and retain contractors that are already on site. Staff intend to award task order contracts to multiple qualified vendors to speed up the cleanup process and repairs along the Mid-Valley Channel and other areas identified by staff and the city engineer. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Are there questions? Not a question, but a comment. After taking a tour, not only of my neighborhood, but and asking you to help me tour the other areas, I was very impressed with the response of staff, with what you have done to assist our residents and the round-the-clock work that was done. We will look back at this one day with only a little bit of our memory, but it's very much present in my heart how you guys went above and beyond. So thank you for that.
Thank you. You're welcome.
I make a motion to approve staff's recommendations.
I will second that.
Motion passes 5-0.
Moving on to item 14E, approve amendment number 1 to contract number C44740 with Prest Busick Greenwood Architects.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. We're adjusted to this. And members of the City Council, my name is Lucero Leva. I'm a project manager and in the Capital Projects Department. We have the item before you that would approve the amendment to PVG, but I also felt it was prudent to give an overview of the Discover Palm Desert building and where we are and what kind of led us here. As you all, I believe, have seen this kind of schematic and layout of this site, this is what the proposed Discover Palm Desert building looks like. It is essentially two buildings under a one roof structure. And that is the kind of layout of the trees surrounding that project site. And the orientation of the building lined up with the PD link right there. Just as an overview, the building square footage is about 3,500 square foot. It has features in it that include the visitor center, a flex area that could be used as a gallery, along with any other events that the city would like to host, or just in general, it's available for whatever city staff or city council would like to use that area as. There's a breezeway, there's restrooms, and then there's outdoor seating areas as well, designated throughout the site. So kind of coming back to the amendment for PVG, the current contract is at 227. However, that contract does not include additional services needed to get the project to where it is now, which is at its bidding stage. That includes civil engineering, landscape architect fees, some miscellaneous services that had to be provided by them in order to go through the Arts Commission's meeting. And it doesn't include the pedal shade structure, the pretty items you saw up there right before this slide. And then it doesn't include a reimbursable. So I figured it would be a good way to kind of bring this contract to a more fuller picture of the services that are needed to get it to a construction phase. Because of the state status of the current project, it is past entitlement, it is in plan review. We felt it was good to go ahead and have that project plans be reviewed by a third party. And because we do have Moss as one of the construction management companies available to us to be able to provide that type of service, we had them assist us coming up with a construction estimate and a schedule for this project. That estimate did come back at about $10.4 million. That information is reflected up there in that chart, and it should be in the staff report as well. The rough scheduled timeline for this project is currently hovering at about 22 months to complete from bidding to close out. And I figured it was also good to kind of look at the overall project cost and kind of give a fuller picture of what this will look like outside of just the construction cost, which is, again, what you see up there, $500,000 in design, $1,040 million in construction contingencies, adding an allowance for inspections and fees, and FF&E and OS&E items that would be needed around the actual site. So that brings the estimated project total to be about $12.7 million. I do also want to make a note that the construction costs only have a small allowance for the pedal structures that everybody loves because they were so colorful. However, that number will have to be updated once we would receive the submittal from PVG regarding the pedal shades. Given the updated construction and project cost, we also felt it was prudent to kind of look and revisit some of the alternative locations for the visitor center. This was done with the assistance of Eric, the Director of Economic Development, and that is what is reflected up there today for your review. So I request that the amendment be approved. And then I also would like to have the input regarding the options listed up there. And with that, I am open to any questions and or comments.
Any questions? Who
I
would like?
do have a question. Do I understand correctly that some of the work covered by the proposed amendment has already been done such that we need to pay them for it?
Yes, there's kind of a trade-off because there is a construction support line item that was in the original contract that kind of has helped to fill that service amount that they provided. But yes, essentially, there are services in this amendment that have already been rendered by PBG.
Well, do we know how much has already been done and how much would be future work? Because if it's our decision to pull the plug, we have to pay our bills. So we need to know how much is already owed versus how much has not yet been earned.
I would be more than happy to work with the finance team to come up to a definitive number to locate that information. I don't know, Veronica, if you have any input on that? I do know off the top of my head, based off of their October billing, that they were basically depleting their 227 existing contract, and they only had about $1,000 at that point, $1,000 left in that contract. And again, that doesn't cover the billing that would have happened for November or December.
I mean, maybe tonight we could take action in concept without knowing the final figures.
Yeah, perhaps we could make a motion that said we pay their bills and then take, looking at the second, number 2 here, take option 2 on that. And I'm sorry, yeah, consider the following. So pay our bills that they have gone out of pocket for, and then option 2, discontinue the current design and consider alternative visitor center facility designs. Does that sound reasonable?
Because here's the bottom line for me. I love the designs. They've been totally responsive. They've worked with 2 different council subcommittees. It's gorgeous. It would be wonderful. It would attract users of CD Link to spend time in Palm Desert. It would be event space. $12 million. You know, we started with a $3 million budget, and as wonderful as it would be, I just can't justify committing to 12.7, which on the basis of our experience with President's Plaza would probably end up being closer to 20. I just can't square making that commitment at this time when we have need for a new fire station and fire station improvement.
And asking for a tax increase.
There you go. So I think we have to go to 2. Personally, I think it's premature to commit to an alternative location tonight. Ultimately, we want a location that's easy to find and open on the weekends. That might be a future library site. It might be a different site. I would favor leaving it where it is for now, because we don't want to move it twice. And we just covered the walls in the north wing with this beautiful portrayal of the history of the city's history, which is appropriate for visitor center use for the time being.
Well said. Is that a motion? Are you making a motion?
Let's hear
Actually,
some other
Mayor Pro Tem
ideas.
did.
Well, yeah, I agree. I mean, the $12 million price tag is way out of line. We can't go down that road. So I absolutely agree that we ought to pay our bill, whatever bill is outstanding, and pursue option 2.
I'll second that motion.
All right.
I'd
I
like
made a
to-
motion. How do you like that?
I
I'm
would
not-
like to
Thank-
make the comment that I've seen in the Art and Public Places Commission, how impassioned
everyone has been in that committee to give their feedback and the community feedback. But we would get very vocal feedback if people were to find out how much this costs, when earlier in our agenda, we were talking about storm recovery. That is a crucial need, and this is something that can be extended down the line. I am very grateful that you have provided such great options, including the breakdown of what would be available on the weekends, how this can be incorporated to our future growth. So thank you for that excellent synopsis of our options. And I agree with my colleagues that we can push this out a little further and decide after we've paid our bills. So you made a motion?
Our taste is just too good.
I'm, oh, you want me to?
We have a motion.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Since that is 14E, it concludes the action part of our calendar, and we resume public hearings, this time going to item 15B, Second Amendment to the Development Agreement 98-1 between the City of Palm Desert and Marriott Ownership Resorts Incorporated, and continue the public hearing to a date uncertain. Open the public hearing. Do we have any comments for this public hearing in person or online?
No public comments, Madam Mayor.
I will move the continuance as recommended. Oh, we gotta vote.
Motion passes 5-0.
And with that, we close the public session. Are there any additional information items? Seeing no additional information items, then we will adjourn this meeting at 7:21 p.m. Thank you all very much.